The manager who made my life hell didn't see my revenge coming. I didn't quit. I didn't cry. I didn't let her win. Instead, I smiled. I played the good employee. I nodded at every insult, carried every impossible task, swallowed every scream. And behind that smile, I built her downfall. Because the manager who made my life hell never saw my revenge coming. I'm 28 now. This all happened when I was 25, working at my second real job after college. I wasn't naive anymore. I knew workplaces weren't perfect, but I didn't expect her. Her name was Diane, my direct manager, mid-40s, sharp haircut, sharper tongue. She'd been with the company forever, and she loved reminding everyone of it. She had power, not just over my projects, but over my future. One word from her could tank a review, block a promotion, make me invisible. And she knew it. She thrived on it. At first, I tried to please her. I stayed late, triple-checked reports, volunteered for extra work. But nothing was enough. If I finished a project early, she'd say, "You probably rushed it. I'll have to double-check." If I stayed late, she'd sneer, "Poor time management." If I spoke up in meetings, she'd cut me off. "Don't interrupt people who know more than you." And then came the personal digs. "You look tired." "You don't really have leadership energy, do you?" "Maybe you're just not cut out for this industry." In front of the team, in front of clients, always with that fake smile tone that made it sound like feedback. But the worst, she took credit. My ideas, my reports, my strategies, she'd slap her name on them, present them as hers. And people believed it. Why wouldn't they? She had the title, the authority. I felt erased, like I didn't exist except as her shadow. It all came to a head one afternoon. We were preparing for a huge client presentation. I had spent weeks on the deck, every detail polished, every stat double-checked. The morning of, Diane called me into her office. She smiled, that tight, cruel smile, and said, "I'll be presenting this. Better if it comes from someone with more experience." I nodded. Quiet. But inside, something snapped. Because when she stood in front of that client and presented my work like it was hers, I realized, this wouldn't stop. Not unless I stopped it. That was the moment revenge stopped being a fantasy and became a plan. I didn't lash out right away. I waited. Because Diane's ego was her weakness. She thought she was untouchable. That made her sloppy. And I was watching. I noticed how she falsified timesheets to claim overtime she never worked. How she expensed client dinners that were just happy hours with her friends. How she ignored actual client emails for days, then blamed us for not flagging them properly. I saved everything, emails, screenshots, calendar invites, expense receipts. I became meticulous, quiet, invisible, the perfect employee, and the perfect spy. And Diane? She kept feeding me material. If you think I sound calculating, you're right. But be honest. If someone stole your work, mocked you daily, and blocked your future, wouldn't you start keeping receipts too? By month 6, I had a mountain of evidence, enough to paint a very ugly picture. But revenge isn't just about what you have. It's about how and when you use it. So I waited for the perfect storm. It came during performance review season. Diane was gunning for a promotion, director of operations. She was smug, already dropping hints like it was guaranteed. And that's when I knew. If I struck then, the fall would be catastrophic. The week of her final review meeting, I sent 3 anonymous packages, one to HR, one to her boss, the VP, and one to the client she'd neglected most. Inside, proof of her falsified overtime, expense reports showing client dinners that were personal nights out, screenshots of unanswered client emails, side-by-side slides showing my original work, and her claiming it as her own. I didn't just expose her, I documented her. The fallout was immediate. The client threatened to pull their account. HR launched an investigation. And the VP? He canceled her promotion interview on the spot. The office was chaos. Diane stormed around, snapping at everyone, demanding to know who was sabotaging her. She never suspected me, not once. Because why would she? I was the quiet one. Within 2 weeks, she was asked to resign. Her promotion dreams, gone. Her reputation, shattered. She left the office with a box of her things, face red, muttering under her breath. And me? I sat at my desk, typing calmly, heart pounding with victory. At first, it was sweet, watching her lose everything she thought she deserved. Hearing people whisper, I never liked her anyway. But revenge is never just sweet. It's complicated. Because sometimes, late at night, I remember the look on her face when HR confronted her. The panic, the fear, the same feelings she once made me feel. And I wonder, did I become her in the end? Still with me? Cool. Because the last part of this story, that's the piece I'm not sure I'll ever forgive myself for. Months later, I got a LinkedIn notification. Diane had a new job. At a smaller firm. Lower title. And part of me wanted to feel disappointed, like she didn't suffer enough. But then another part of me thought, maybe that's worse. Because now, every time she sits in a meeting, she'll remember the company she almost ran, the title she almost had, and the intern-level nobody who slipped through her fingers. That's my victory. Not just ruining her, but knowing she'll never stop wondering who did it. So yeah, the manager who made my life hell never saw my revenge coming. But here's the truth. Sometimes I look in the mirror and wonder if I traded one version of hell for another. Because once you learn how powerful it feels to burn someone's life down, you start to wonder who else deserves the fire.